Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to Thomas Battles, with your host, Mr. MPS 2002. Battling today will be Roman TheTWRCollector, TrainKing James, and Oliver Duck. And now, on to the battle. Hello, everybody out there who's watching this, Thomas Wooden Railway community member or otherwise. This is the first installment of our new podcast show, Thomas Battles. Yay! And the second video to be uploaded to the TWRC Radio. And today I have three very special guests to debate some topics. First of all, you know him, you love him, don't even argue with me because you know you love him because he's just awesome. He's great. He's nice to everybody. It's Ted.
Hello. I'm Ted.
And next we have some kid. He's Roman.
Yeah, thanks. Hi.
And finally we have the king of trains, TrainKing James.
Woo, yeah, baby. Woo.
All right, that's enough. That's enough applauding. And today each of our gladiators have 5 topics to debate about, and at the end of each round, I'm going to give one of them a point, or I might give 2 of them if each of them compelled me, just well enough. So, with that said, let us begin. Time for round 1. What is the most overrated Thomas Wooden Railway item? Ted, give me your argument.
The white-faced troublesome truck.
Oh, man.
Do you want me to start with the opening argument?
No. Roman.
Troublesome brake van.
Okay. James.
Four-wheeled Mavis.
Huh, that's interesting. All right, Ted, give me your argument.
So the white-faced troublesome truck is a normal truck with even a bit of an error that might even decrease the value of it because it's not what it intended to be and actually lowers the real show appear of the item. And because of this error on it, suddenly it's overvalued at $350 on our current wooden railway value. It's insane. We've had 2 of them sell in a row for that much, which currently puts the value at $350. And because of this, people just freak out whenever they see them. And it's just really nuts. It's just so overvalued and overrated in the eyes of the community, in my opinion.
All right, that was a very strong argument. Roman.
Well, first of all, I mean, sure, it's a classic item. Sure, it's one of those items that you can do whatever you want with your imagination. But, like, at least from experience in the community, you can see so many people have it. So, like, it's not really a rare item. So, like, why say it's so rare? Oh my gosh, the troublesome brake van so rare when it's not really, when so many people own it. So, it basically means it's rated, and you know, like, people pay so much for it. I mean, not as much as the white face, not $350, but like people can pay up to like I think I've seen one for like $400, I believe. So that just shows that they'll do it. Well, not anything, but they'll do lots of things for it.
You do have a point there, Roman, because I remember there was a stretch of time where the troublesome brake van was considered to be the most valuable Thomas Wooden Railway item out there, and like the rarest one. And if you found one, you were just like, oh, like hallelujah. Like that was around the time when I got my troublesome brake van. If you go back and watch that video, I'm just so freaking ecstatic that I got it because it was considered to be the rarest item at the time. But you've got a good point there. All right, James, give me your argument, man.
I mean, four-wheeled Mavis is a nice model, but I own both Mavis models, both 4- and 6-wheel, and there's virtually no difference, yet this model is sold at a much higher price on eBay and harder to find. Sure, there's a lot of them out there with good deals, but still, it's not that much different. It's just got 2 less wheels. In fact, I could make a 4-wheeled Mavis right now if I just took off the the axle in the middle, the 2 wheels. It's not that hard. So yeah, people go crazy over this item on eBay because it's simply because it has 4 wheels compared to, you know, the normal 6 wheels, which honestly, there's virtually no difference. They both have trouble going around curves. I've tested both of them. It's literally no difference. So the fact that people go crazy over this item when it's really basically a standard Mavis, just with 2 less wheels, gets kind of on my nerves.
All right, Ted and Roman, your two items are fairly similar. I mean, they're often compared. Tell me why your item is the most overrated of the two. Let's go with Roman first.
Well, that's a tough choice, but I'm gonna have to say mine's the best for one good reason.
I'm saying why is it the most overrated item?
No, sorry. What am I thinking? Okay, so it's the most overrated, I'd say, because, like, so many people just fantasize about it, and they're like, oh my god, I got the troublesome brake fan. Oh my god. Like, sure, they act the same way with the white face, but with the troublesome brake fan, like I stated before, it's not really that rare anymore because so many people have it. So why is it so why do people care, basically? So that's one reason why I think it's more overrated than the white-faced troublesome truck.
Ted.
Now, the white-faced troublesome truck, I have personal experience with having two, and I can tell you how highly
no need
rated
to remind
it
us
is
of that,
in
Ted.
the community today, of what people have tried to do to get these from me. I've had death threats for these white faces on several occasions, and if you're willing to kill someone to steal a block of wood, that's pretty high rating.
But why is it overrated?
Because it's the same as any other truck, and the Grace troublesome truck was made for a long period of time throughout all of the 90s, and it's so common, and it's just something on it takes away from it. So it should be almost a lower rating than the troublesome truck, and yet it's highest rated in the community today.
All right.
I'm going to have to agree with Ted a bit there. Sorry.
All right, I've made my decision, and actually, I'm going to give it to James. Because even though both of you two, Roman and Ted, both of you made excellent arguments, especially with you there at the end, Ted, when you talked about how you got death threats. Are you for real? Did you actually get death threats over it? But I'm still going to go with James, because it's Mavis. I mean, it just has one set of wheels removed. Like, that's it. Like, at least the gray troublesome truck and the troublesome brake van are actually retired. You can still find Mavis today. So that's why I'm going to go with James. So, James, you get the first point. So, good for you. Yay! All right. Well, now it is time to move on to round 2, which is, what is the most underrated Thomas Wooden Railway item? Ted?
My choice is a Northwestern brake van. Now, next, Roman.
All right.
I say the 100-piece set.
Ooh. James?
The express coaches.
Ooh. All right, and James, I actually want you to give me your reasons first.
All right. The express coaches, at the time when they were sold, I mean, they failed, obviously. That's why they were retired. I mean, not once, but twice. I mean, you first had the Nafford Express coach from 1992 to about 1997, 98-ish, when they were finally retired. And then they released the new express coaches in 98, and those were retired around 2009. But the thing about it is...
So which express coaches are you talking about? Are you talking about the Nafford Express coach, or are you talking about, like, the...
Both of them, and both basically the express coaches in general, but mainly the new style ones.
Okay.
But, basically, no one realized at the time how important these coaches are, because after they retired, the only coaches around were basically Annie and Clairvaux. So you couldn't really properly make a Gordon's Express if you wanted to, unless you wanted to collect a bunch of Annie and Clairvaux. That's why a lot of users, like my friend Roman here, had to scrounge around and try to find other coaches to make a decent Express. For the longest while, he was using Old Slow Coach and an Nafford Express coach. So I think the Express coach was given a little credit back in its day, and now people realize its worth, and that's why it's reaching... Now it's starting to become harder to get on eBay.
Yeah, it reminds me of that joke from Ted and Eric's crossover review on the Nafford Express coach, of where Ted has just a bunch of Annie Clairvaux all lined up together.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of Ted, give me your reasons why your item, the NW brake van, is the most underrated item.
All right, so the Northwestern brake van, or the spiteful brake van, not only does it have astonishing accuracy and detail, especially with that face. I mean, like that eyebrows, those eyebrows I can relate with, man. But it's crucial.
Did you just
for
say you
every
can relate with them?
Technically, Ted can compete.
it's crucial for every single freight train on British themed island to have that. That's the only thing that we've gotten which comes close to an actual British or European brake van. We've gotten the Soda Line caboose, but that's in the North American style. If you want to keep your wooden railway symbolic to the heritage of the Thomas Line and the actual whole British theme where it's meant to be located, then the Northwestern brake van is a must-have for every single one of your freight trains. There's no cutting out of this. We complain about trains not having brake vans all the time in the Sharon Miller area. They're better on it now, but that was such a huge thing in the community that we just keep on saying that train doesn't have a brake van. Now, you can't lower yourself to the same level as Sharon Miller era. You have to have brake vans on your train, and also the Northwestern is the only, or the NW is the only symbol of an actual railway brand of the railway. The NW is the only remnants to the TV series, as well as the wooden railway model, that the railway actually has a name.
Okay, wow, that was really intense. Roman.
Well, for one, I say the 100-piece set is underrated because, at least from what I see, it's really talked about. I mean, do you really see people out there saying, guys, I got the 100-piece set, oh my god! Like, not usually. I mean, sometimes, but it's not like the white-face troublesome truck. Like, oh my god, a white face! Like, you get what I mean. It's just really talked about in that way. And, like, since it's really talked about, I guess you could say it's kind of like not many people own it, so in the same... Sorry.
That's okay. This might seem like kind of cheating, but I've already decided the winner, and it's Ted, because he won me over with that.
I knew it.
He won me over with that Sharon Miller comparison, because, man...
Oh, Lord.
You can...
Second I heard, too.
I mean...
You cannot lower yourself to the level of Sharon Miller.
It was all over as soon as he said the word do not level yourself to the level of Sharon Miller came out of his mouth. I mean, that was... So, good work on that one, Ted. You get a point, too. Feel like Oprah. You get a point. You get a point. You all get points. All right, time to move on to our third topic. What is the best railway series story? Christopher Audrey or the Reverend W. Audrey? Ted.
I think I'm going to have to pick Super Rescue.
Ooh. All right. James.
Deep Freeze.
Roman.
Okay, it sounds weird. I know I didn't talk about it with Ted, but I say Super Rescue too.
Okay, so 2 on 1. So 2 on 1. All right. First, I'm going to go with the underdog first, actually. James, why is your story better than Roman and Ted's?
To start off, I purposely didn't choose Super Rescue because that's one of the more popular stories of the book. But honestly, it's one of my favorites, but it's not the best one in my opinion. I think Deep Freeze is actually the best because of the lessons and morals that come behind it. Super Rescue teaches, the diesels to behave, but Deep Freeze does the opposite. It teaches the steamies because it shows acceptance for the opposite side, because in the TV series throughout, all you see are times when diesels are just being mean to steamies. Steamies are basically doing the same thing, but do they get punished for it? Not really. So this story is basically where James needs help from a diesel, which throughout the book he discriminated against. Especially after a particular visitor.
But, I mean, doesn't it kind of have, like, a traditional stereotypical story? Like, oh, James does something silly, James learns his lesson, James never does this again.
MPS, it's our job to debate his point.
But James didn't do anything silly, actually. It wasn't his fault. His ejector froze in the cold. It wasn't his actual fault. He just needed help.
That's true.
So that wasn't actually his fault. This time it was just something that happened out of his control. So basically... James is now left to help with the engine he'd least suspect to get help from, the works diesel, because he does not like diesels. And in the end, James learns not to discriminate against diesels. And honestly, I feel out throughout the show, it seems like we always see the diesels being the guys, but not the steamies. So we're automatically supposed to assume the diesels are villains. But truly, are the diesels the villains? Because the diesels originally came mainly... because they were created by a human. They were the ones who decided, all right, you guys are to be put in charge. You guys are to be, do work, and apparently it just happened that they just all got replaced. Steamies felt resentful for that, but honestly, the Diesels really didn't want to. And because of, like, fights broken out, that's what caused this giant Steamy Diesel hatred. So this story kind of says that, you know what, maybe it's not always the Diesel's fault. Maybe at once it could be the Steamy's fault, that it could be somebody that would, actually, the Diesels aren't so bad after all. So I think this is one of those rare occasions where you see the opposite. Instead of the usual Diesel does something bad and the Steamy gets the apology and everything moves on, except next episode they're arguing again.
Wow, that was real intense. All right, Roman, why don't you tell me why your story is the best? And by the way, if I do decide that Super Rescue is better than Deep Freeze, and I mean I haven't decided yet. I'm going to give the point to the person of you two that convinced me more. So I'm not going to give both of you a point. I'm going to give the point to the person that convinced me more. So, Roman.
Well, first of all, I mean, the characters' personalities, or, well, not really personalities, but their attitudes in the story, like both Bear and Spamcan, you know, they both think, oh, we're so, like, as Diesel would put it, revolutionary. Steamies are just puny, whatever, piles of scrap, basically, and that we can do better than them. But, like, and when Henry comes and sorry,
when he comes and saves D199,
but he feels embarrassed, and he thinks he's gonna get made fun of. Yet he proves that, you know, like making mistakes, you know, you're not going to always be the one being made fun of. Like, sorry, it's my fault.
Okay, Ted.
So, Super Rescue embodies the struggle of real-life railroads at that time. During that time, during modernization, coast to coast on Britain and the British Isles, steam locomotives were being lined up and replaced. Yet, in many cases, the diesels that they were getting replaced by weren't actually performing as well as the steamies they were replacing. So this story embodies the actual physical truth of what was happening at the time and keeps it in a history. And it was showing the battle. If these diesels actually performed well, Sir Tom Mahat might have converted the railway to actual diesel traction. The whole point of them coming was a trial on the island to see if they would perform well. And then it shows the mentality of a steam locomotive, of it trying no matter what problem happens to it. Don't give up until the bitter end, until everything is safe again. Even though Henry was failed and was not operating properly, he was still able to save 2 trains, a passenger load and a good load. Had those trains not gotten through, many people would have been delayed, and the railway would have been fined heavily. This episode also embodies just the whole time period very well. It embodies everything about that time.
All right. Well, I've quickly made my decision again, and I got to give it to Ted again because he made the real life comparison. So
that was good.
My last sentence was a fail, though.
That's all right, Ted, because you get the point, and just currently you're in the lead with 2 points. James and Roman, you guys better try and catch up to Ted, or else he's gonna win. Time to play the Rocky music, man, because it's... All right, time for round 4. Let's see if Roman can redeem himself, because at least James is on the board. Roman has kind of been stumbling through his arguments. But let's see if Roman can redeem himself with what is the best TV series episode. Let's go with Roman first, actually.
I'm going to have to say Gordon and the Famous Visitor.
Ooh. All right, James?
Actually, I'm going to say The Deputation.
All right, and Ted, of course.
I'm going to have to say Pop Goes the Diesel.
Ooh.
Very different stories.
All right, Roman, why is yours the best?
Well, for one, I like how Gordon, you know, it's one of Gordon's best stuck-up moments. He thinks he's the best of anything. And, I mean, it's not the same as the Railway Series story, but in the same way, it has good points here and there. Like Gordon's personality, he thinks he's better than City of Chur, as he's known in the Railway Series, but when he gets proved wrong and gets made, well, not gets made fun of, when he's embarrassing himself when he comes back that night after he lost his dome, it just shows, don't think highly of yourself all the time. I just like the moral of the story right there. It just makes me feel don't think highly of yourself, because you can't plan out what's going to happen in the future.
But isn't that just about like every Gordon story ever? Like, just at the top of my mind,
not necessarily.
Doesn't, Gordon takes a tumble, other Gordon stories, don't they have the same moral?
Kind of, but, this one is, one of the tops. This is, at least in my opinion, I think it's where Gordon, hits an all-time low being stuck up, but at the same time is at the top of his stubborn moments.
So you'd say it's Gordon at his most arrogant, basically?
Yeah.
Okay, alright. Ted?
So the reason why I think Pop Goes to the Diesel is the best episode is because one of the reasons is the song. I'm sure you're all going to remember the song.
Man.
With the truck singing along and Ringo Starr or George Caroline, whoever your preferred narration is, singing along to it as well.
Ted,
that just adds another element.
Who's George Caroline?
Caroline, sorry. Mispronunciation.
That's okay,
continue.
But
anyways, and adds a new layer of interactivity and catchiness that sticks in your head, which not a lot of episodes did. I can think of maybe that one song with Percy and Harold Chase, or I can't remember the name of the episode. But other than that, there wasn't really songs in the show, and that was just something to catch the viewer's attention and throw it into another mix. And then Pump Go the Diesel, it was such a struggle between steam engine and diesel engine. It really was a huge conniving plot by Diesel to set up Duck looking bad, to make him be treated poorly and eventually be sent away from his home yard. And maybe even to a higher extent, he might have been scrapped if they were replacing engines. So it was just such a huge conniving plot. And yeah.
All right, James.
All right, The Deputation. Now, as you all know, The Deputation was the episode where Toppin Hat was trying to make up his mind who to keep, Donald or Douglas. So with the help of Percy, he saved, in earlier engines, they saved Donald and Douglas, and they both get to stay. But the one thing about this episode, and there's one thing I'd like to do with Thomas episodes, kind of like Ted, I like to look at every episode in layers. And I think all the characters in the episode, like Percy, Gordon, Henry, James, Donald, Douglas, and Duck, they all represent a giant family. And it shows this untraceable bond between the engines. They will all look out for each other. I mean, they all supported Donald and Douglas, even after their incidents. I mean, you'd think, James, of course, would probably be, maybe a bit angry with Douglas because he got delayed, but James was actually supporting him because what he did to the brake van taught him a lesson. And, all the other engines banding together and actually going to Sir Toppin Hat. And I like how they made it this huge fear to talk to Sir Toppin Hat. Plus, I love the comedy of the episode and everybody's innocence. How Percy and the other engines kept, botching the word deputation. They went from, desperation to depot station to disputation or something like that. And I just think Percy was probably one of Percy's best moments because of his innocence. And I felt like Percy played his part well. Everybody else, I felt like how I mentioned the family. I felt Gordon was kind of like the leader. Percy was like the innocence and younger. Oh, sorry.
All right, I've made my decision early yet again, and I wanted to give the point to Ted. I really did. But he talked about how Diesel's got this grand evil scheme. But he's got that grand evil scheme in almost every single appearance, like in Fergus
But that was the first time. That was the first time. That was the original. That was the only time the Reverend wrote it, too.
Yeah, but, I mean, I wish...
And that was the only one to succeed.
I mean...
To some degree.
To some degree, true.
To some degree, yeah. That's the point.
It worked, but then later got failed. And 3 episodes later.
But that's the same thing with his plan in Fergus Runs Away. So I'm going to give the point to James because he brought up about how the engines are all like family and about how close they are and what a close bond they have.
So this one is either going to be a tie or it's going to go to James or me.
No, if we end up with a tie, because Roman, don't qualify yourself as out yet, because you could still create a tie, and then we'd have to go to the tiebreaker round.
Wait, how can Roman create a tie?
Because
it's 2-2.
It's 2-2, yeah, and Roman doesn't have one yet. But if he gets a point right now, then we'll go to the tiebreaker round. All right,
okay.
So it's time for the last one, and I hope you guys brought your best for this one. What is the best Thomas Wooden Railway item? And this can be I'm looking for specifically an engine.
Oh, okay. So I have to change mine.
Yeah, mine was a destination.
All right, sure, that's fine.
Mine was
I'll open it up. Engine or destination?
Mine was rolling stock. So
rolling stock counts as an engine. So engine, destination, or rolling stock. Roman, let's go with yours.
Okay.
Now, hear me out. I know I said it was overrated, but I do pick the troublesome brake fan for this.
That's kind of funny.
All right, Ted?
I'm going with Thomas. It is the Thomas Wooden Railway, after all.
All right, James.
Sawmill with dumping depot.
Ooh, man. All right, Roman.
Well, first of all, the troublesome brake fan is just that it's nostalgia in the wooden railway. It's like the troublesome truck, but it's one of those. It's nostalgia, and it's what you want to do with it. It's one of those toys where it lets you use your imagination to decide what's inside of it. If there's dynamite, if there's potato chips, if there's whatever, if there's Thomas Wooden Railway inside of it. But it's just that nostalgia and classicness that makes it a good item, even though it's overrated. I still think it's a good item because of those reasons. And also, I mean,
That is true, because overrated doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad item. All right, James, let's go with you. And you've already got a pretty strong point, because I think we can all agree the sawmill is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I actually think the sawmill is the best destination, because it's like I said last night with the lift and load set. It encourages interactivity.
For those of you who don't know, we had a practice round last night about which is the best set, and James answered the lift and load set. Sorry, go on, James.
Yeah, so basically, it encourages interactivity, and it's like all the stuff you can do with it. You can load logs and pretend to be a little lumberjack. And plus, I mean, they run for a high price on eBay, but if you can get one for a decent price, it really is a nice destination. I mean, I like using it in my series, and there's so many different ways you can use it. You don't have to just use it as a sawmill. You can make it part of the scrapyards, as seen in Ted's crossover with Josh. Well, even though it was the lumberyard, it was trying to almost kill Billy. Or like, I've seen people use it, like SR3D Films, good friend of mine. He used it in his garbage dump as a tipper. So that's another thing. So there's so many different ways you can use this item besides just a lumberyard that makes it so versatile yet interactive at the same time that your imagination can pretty much go any which way. Even the middle piece I've seen used. Like Ted uses it as a background piece as just a generic wall, but it still is used.
All right, Ted.
Now, I picked Thomas because that is the cornerstone of this brand. As a kid, imagine you didn't have a Thomas. What would you do? He's the star of the show. He's in the most episodes. And to do your own series or reproduce old episodes from the show, you need a Thomas. It's not just a question of extravagance. This is back to the basics, the number one product that you should have in your wooden railway. This is probably the most crucial piece, and I should have picked this for the most underrated too, because it is needed, and it's not just something.
I mean, Ted, you won that argument anyways, so.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not just something that you get to add to your collection. This is the base of the collection. This is the foundation of the collection. Without this, it's hard. What good is it to have a sawmill if Thomas he couldn't go to it, or if another engine couldn't go to it? What good is it to have a troublesome brake van if Thomas couldn't pull it, or the main character of the show wasn't interacting in some way with the other characters who were pulling those items or going to those destinations? It's just something you need to have the brand make sense.
Okay. Roman, I'm intrigued by yours because you called it both the most overrated item and the best item. Tell me just a little bit more.
Well, when you want more there, so if you want more, sorry, I'm nervous. I don't know what's getting to me.
Don't be nervous.
But like the nostalgia there. I mean, sure, Ted's right. You need Thomas or some engine at least to pull the troublesome brake van. But after you've expanded it to what you have, like after you've expanded to like main characters and maybe other rolling stock, and then you get to that troublesome brake van. Like it at least like the troublesome brake van. Sure, maybe it's not spotted in not the railway series. Sure, it's not spotted in the TV series, but it's still one of those things. It's nostalgic, and I mean, sure, Thomas is better than a troublesome brake van, but I mean, it's one of those things that it's like a truck. It's a truck that you could use on your railway. I mean, sure, you could easily go for a troublesome truck for much cheaper, and that's what we see more in the TV series. But you could easily use that, and it would give your series realism if you were going to use it in a series. It's nice as background scenery. It's just one of those items, I guess.
All right, I've made my decision. James went for the one that has kind of been used a lot. I mean, when you ask somebody, basically, like, if you ask me, for example, my first response would be Sawmill with Dumping Depot. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, just the fact that it is said so much, I mean, it just kind of takes away from it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would have liked if you would have picked something unique. Ted picked something unique. He picked Thomas. Thomas is not the first thing you think of. However, your strongest argument was that you need Thomas to have your collection. I disagree with that, because even though, yes, it is called the Thomas Wooden Railway, you don't need to own Thomas. You can have Percy. Percy can be the star of your collection. Or Edward. Edward can be the star of your collection. So, I mean, it makes sense. What you're arguing makes sense, Ted, definitely. But I do disagree with it just a bit. So I'm going to give this one to Roman. Because...
Oh, it's a tiebreaker round.
He had...
Oh.
If you'll excuse me for being kind of getting kind of blue here, he had the balls to call it both his most overrated item and the best item, and I admire that, and he gave good reasons why. So, Roman, you are going to help me decide this tiebreaker round between James and Ted, and I've thought of it. So, are you guys ready for this tiebreaker?
Yeah.
What is the best Thomas movie? And I'm just gonna do this. I just need just a short answer from each of you, and then a short reason. James.
All right, I'm gonna say the best Thomas movie would probably be. I'm gonna say King of the Railway, because King of the Railway dives into some great railway history that many young ones don't get from any of the other movies. It dives into history of like the original engines, like Stephen the Rocket, or even other engines that failed, and talks about the struggle it took to create a successful engine, which I really think was a good.
All right, Ted.
Mine is Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Even though this is looked down upon as somewhat of a success.
Prepare for the torches and pitchforks, Ted.
I think this is the best because it incorporates a new layer onto the Thomas universe. It incorporates the real world and a story linking between the two, as well as strong performances, acting, and introducing characters, which became core beliefs of many Thomas Wayne Railway community members' videos, such as Diesel 10 and Lady. Like, how many people have you seen use those two characters as core characters in their movies? It set up such a great atmosphere, and the fact it was actually being in theaters should say something. That it was the only Thomas and Friends movie to actually make it into theaters across the world, the actual main theaters, not just the specialty theaters. And it's the fact that it incorporated so much things like real-world acting and gave a whole range of real people into the Thomas and Friends universe and set up the conductor, cousin, and actual Mr. Conductor into the universe as another two characters. And it featured Shining Time Station, which was huge for Shining Time Station fans. They finally got to see their station put into real life and see its magical connection with Thomas.
All right, Ted. Roman and I have come to an agreement. Ted, James, you both fought valiantly, but it turns out the winner of the first installment of Thomas Battles is going to be ... TrainKing James. TrainKing James wins.
Congratulations, James.
Because I mean,
you fought hard too, Gladiator.
I love Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Don't get me wrong. I'm one of the few that you will find that loves Thomas and the Magic Railroad. But I think a lot of the real world stuff was unnecessary. Like, and plus, I kind of disagree with you on the acting part. I mean, Alec Baldwin's stilted delivery with sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. Come on, you can't.
Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle.
And Mara Wilson, as much as I love her acting in movies like Mrs. Doubtfire, you can't deny that she's pretty hokey in that movie. And I liked
Peter Fonda, though.
I liked James's art. Yeah, that's a good point. Peter Fonda was good. Maybe if you would have talked about him, you actually would have swayed me a little bit more. But I like James's point about how it delves into the history of Sodor and about how it shares a history to the youngins, as I'd call them, that not a lot of children would know nowadays, and it just tells them about the history of Sodor. So that's why James wins this first installment of Thomas Battles. Guys, thank you all so much for battling with me today, and I hope you guys will come back sometime in the future. Ted, anything you'd like to plug?
My next show next week is I'm going to be interviewing Matthew Rosado.
Oh man, that's about to be interesting.
Yeah,
Can't wait to see that.
Plug that.
Would you like to plug your YouTube channel and Twitter in case?
Oh, I'm Oliver Duck and at Oliver267 Studios on Twitter.
All right, Roman, you fought valiantly, but unfortunately you didn't get into the final round. But you did create the tiebreaker, which was good. All right, Roman, anything you'd like to plug?
Well, I'd like to say that this was a good battle. Good job to TrainKing James for winning. But both Ted and James have. I agree. They both have fought really well, and they had some really good points there.
Anything you'd like to plug? Your Twitter, your YouTube, your Facebook, if
you have
one?
No, I don't have Facebook, but follow me on Twitter and subscribe on YouTube if you feel like it. Roman TheTWRCollector. There you go.
Roman's Twitter is @ThatRealIdiot. It's a fitting name for him.
Thanks.
TrainKing James. Anything you'd like to plug, man? James. TrainKing. All right, I'll plug it for him. Follow him. Follow him on Twitter. I'll plug it for him. Follow him on Twitter @TrainKing5. Subscribe to him on YouTube as TrainKing James. I'm Mr. MPS2002. Follow me on Twitter @Mr. MPS2002, since @ThatRealIdiot was already taken. And subscribe to me on YouTube, Mr. MPS2002. And watch my Thomas series, Thomas the Wooden Tank Engine and Friends. Check it out. It's pretty amazing. Guys, just thank you all for watching, and be sure to subscribe to TWRC Radio to see more awesome stuff coming, including Ted's interview with Thomas Freak 808. Thank you all for watching, and tune in 5 weeks, 6 weeks. Tune in the next time another installment of this comes out. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you soon.